You are about to listen to Yellow Peril, That Chink Scumbag, written by Patrizia Barrera, translated by Magda Pala, produced by TekTime, and narrated by Ian A. Miller. Chapter 1. Yellow Peril, Yellow Danger. The Origins. Let's face it, the United States has always been racist. In order to massacre natives and enslave black people, one needs a huge sense of entitlement. Did someone mention superiority complex? Deep and unhealthy pleasure in abusing others, perhaps? Sure, between the 7th and 8th centuries, pretty much every Western country behaved the same way. Only in the U.S., however, power over diversity, both ethnicity and class, became institutionalized. Police and government alike tolerated and encouraged lynching as a tool of justice. The Black Codes and later Jim Crow laws are the ideal examples of how racist that society was. History does not lie. Afro-Americans were, and still are, the most criminalized class in the United States of America. Still few know, or maybe few comment, about the discrimination toward the Chinese. Recruited on purpose as cheap labor between 1848 and 1880, they worked, underpaid, in the most inhumane and dangerous tasks. The entire troubled and toxic relationship between the United States and China provides enough material for 1 or 3 encyclopedias. But it is a truth universally acknowledged that clarity lies in the simplicity of its expression, and in the exposition of indisputable facts, facts that speak volumes. Therefore, the chosen examples demonstrate more than sufficiently that the American dream is marked with blood. History, as stated, does not lie, ever. Picture it. Natives were no longer a threat, if they ever were one, especially on their own land. Almost the whole territory was rich in mineral deposits. Consequently, railways started to pop up everywhere. The new continent needed a makeover in order to be Yankee-friendly. However, southern states' slavery began to tremble under the ideological impulse and politics of abolitionism. Furthermore, the number of Northerners willing to face those arduous shifts of work imposed by the companies were not many. The real wave of immigration, the one that would have brought millions of souls around the world to land in the U.S., all of them blinded by a mirage of a hypothetical wealth, was to happen only much later. Nonetheless, Uncle Sam needed that workforce in the mid-1800s. It was clearly indispensable to make the quantum leap, and being in a dominant position toward Europe. The gold rush undoubtedly attracted multitudes of people. It was, on the other hand, visible from the start that it was a temporary phenomenon, one destined to end once the valuable resources expired, as indeed happened. Thousands of cities built in a day did not last. Undeniably, the gold miners were tireless workers, for their own personal gain. Once obtained enough wealth, they left. After all, unlike the rough and tough new continent, Europe was a civilized nest. Desperate times, though, required desperate measures. As a result, with slavery abolished, the United States brought back serfdom by importing labor on purpose. Myriads of Chinese immigrants, starting in 1848, worked on the transcontinental railroads. They were laborers, farmers who wanted to escape plagues and hunger, and their salaries were close to nothing. Far from home they barely survived, close to starvation, sleeping in the open, all in order to grab those few cents for their families. With the forthcoming fall of the Qing dynasty, China was going through a particularly troubled period. Internal unrest, wars, and uprisings drove people to flee their devastated homeland. They turned to the U.S. only by chance and not by choice. The English controlled all the borders in Asia, and often they closed them. The infamous Opium War, the one that took place between
Sample complete. Ready to continue?